Good, everybody. Hello. This is Joey J. Ping checking in live, respectmyregion.com. We're back here in another episode of the RMR Podcast on the Respect My Region Podcast Network. Man, we've got a really great show today. We've got JoJo Simmons in the building. We're going to talk all about the 3 is 4. The 3 is 4. The 3 is for a good podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about what he's been up to, what they're working on. What he's advocating for. This is a music meets culture meets community type of show, and hip hop is at the center of it, folks. Man, it's dope to be here with you, JoJo. How we living?
Appreciate you. Thank you for having me, man. I'm living well. I'm feeling blessed today. Thank you for having me on. Respect my region, brother.
Respect my region in the house. We got a great episode, folks. So starting off here, JoJo, you're active in the community in a variety of ways, and I want to say this first: you're creative. You make things, you do things, you build, you have ideas, you have these visions, and you bring them to life. And that's something that I see reading through information about you and learning a little bit about you briefly before the episode. Like, it takes all these different things to really make moves and to have progress in those moves. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
How did you get going in this 3 is 4, the 3 is for good podcast? Like, where did this all come from? Where were you when this all got formulated, or was it a progressive series of combos?
Oh, it was progressive. Not only a progressive series of convos, but it was a progressive series of work, in grind, in mistakes to get to where we at now. But I have 2 co-founding partners that approached me and said, "Hey, we want to start this cannabis brand." Originally, at first, because that's when New York first went legal. We're all from New York, and New York and New Jersey, and we all were like, "Hey, let's drop a cannabis brand. New York's going legal. Let's do it." La da da da. And then
Let's
we
do
went.
it.
Right. We started going to all these different cannabis events to actually be a part of the community, learn the community, so that we knew what we were doing and not just jumping in blindly. And when we kind of went to a lot of these different events like Emerald Cup and Hall of Flowers and all these, different ones I could name, we were realizing that, yeah, it was cool to like get a strand or get a brand and try to put it out there. But a lot of people were doing that. And where there was a void, there was a void in the storytelling and the video and the content aspect of what was happening in the cannabis space. So we ran with that. We said, you know what, let's do this first. Let's become the go-to people that, the trusted source that cannabis brands can come to get content, and that, consumers and people that want to be educated can come to and learn through our content and through the, people that we deal with. So that's how it kind of started, us doing that, learning that all of us had a lot of value and different power in resources in the media space. And then we branched out and not only did cannabis brands, but started doing other brands outside of cannabis, and it kind of grew into this whole thing. But us being positive and good people and always being for the community was always at the heart and soul of what we were starting. No matter if it was going to be a cannabis brand or a media brand, it was always going to be something that was giving back, whether it was monetary or educational, or just giving the right stories for the people to really educate themselves.
How much has hip hop played a role in all of those activities and moves and aspects of the culture that you just described? How big of a role in that? Because I saw a little bit in your bio and information. Obviously, the family connection, right? You got part of the Simmons family, part of the hip hop icon, rap icon, legend, in all these different ways in terms of building hip hop culture in the last 50 years or so. Growing up in that, and then here you are creating a media company, an ecosystem, as I said, where you are a platform for not just cannabis, but now messages. It could be Last Prisoner Project. It could be advocating for maybe mental health, or it could be advocating for the Black and Brown communities, right? There's these different things. How much did hip hop play in a role into you choosing to do all these different things?
Hip hop plays a huge role into it because, first of all, I think hip hop is the main culture that everybody kind of attracts to. But not only that, it's, for me, in hip hop, all of those things you just named are tied into it, are tied into the people, from the mental health aspect to the Last Prisoner Project, because we all know and love cannabis and have, you can't name a hip hop artist that hasn't been arrested for cannabis at one point or the other, right? I mean, you probably can name a few, but most of them, so like, it all comes from being part of that culture and understanding that culture and understanding my people and understanding the things that I need to speak up for. So it all ties back into, what I grew up around and, the people I grew up around and the hip hop culture I'm from.
The For Good podcast, you guys have, I saw that it's on Amazon Music and Spotify, candid conversations on mental health in these communities. Do you guys have artists and other types of businesses on there, or tell me a little bit about
we have
the guests and
everybody
the
on there.
messages there?
Yeah, we have everyday working people on there from all the way to the biggest names. I've had my sister on there, the Little Easy E, another hip hop generational legend, right? You know, like Little Easy E is a good friend of mine. We've had him
Mhm.
on there. We've had, guys that were named kingpins and went to prison for 40 tons of cannabis and got freed by Donald Trump. Like we've had
Shout
different
out to Corvan Cooper, man. That's the
Corvan
homie.
Cooper. That's my brother. Yeah, so we've had different people on there. We've had mental health therapists, doctors on. We've had different, my business partner was also on there. So it's like my podcast, or I would say the 3 is 4 podcast, the 4 Good podcast is not based around just having A-list celebrities or A-list rappers. It's based around having relatable people. And that may be a rapper or A-list celebrity at one point or the other, but it's also about getting people on there that people can relate to, the everyday working person, the CEO, the person that is an entrepreneur that's really, getting it out the mud, the person that was serving, cannabis conviction and came home and is now changing their life. My sisters, where we can talk about the history of Run's house and all the stuff with our dad and stuff like that, right?
I do want to kind of touch on that because Jojo, one thing that's very clear, and and maybe I'm half white, half Mexican. I'm half German, right? I got a
Okay.
blonde hair, blue eyed grandma, dad, the whole nine, right? And then my brother is darker, more brown than me. I'm this guy, right? But I say that because when you're around hip hop, it's a black and brown community majority. That's usually what it is, right? And now we think about cannabis. Who were the people primarily victimized in terms of the war on drugs? So,
Black and
Jojo,
brown
when I
people.
think about hip hop and I think about you and your history, and I hear, oh man, he was at the Emerald Cup, he's a Hall of Flowers. You had to have been around people that are a different type of legacy than the legacy people we're talking about with growers and the people growing or pressing rosin 20 years ago or selling vape cards in 2015. Those are legacy too. But what
Yep.
about the hip hop legacy people? Whether it's the trappers, former in hip hop, former gang members, whatever it could be. The culture is the culture, right? And it's very diverse. It's not say everyone was a gang member. That's not true. Everybody
Right.
didn't sell drugs. Every rapper didn't even smoke weed. Like there's
Right.
every type of person in hip hop. So seeing as how you had such a renowned family and a unique upbringing in hip hop, were you around people using cannabis? What was that like? What were those conversations then and now? You know what I mean?
I mean,
What's
I
happening
didn't see.
now with cannabis?
Yeah, I didn't see it much, but obviously growing up, going to concerts, what that my dad performed, that you smell it, you see it, but from other
Mm-hmm.
people, and you're curious, and obviously back in the day, we all know cannabis was frowned upon heavily, still frowned upon in some rooms now, but I mean, it's night and day now from what it was. When I was growing up, it was really demonized and really seemed like it was like a really hard drug, like the other drugs. So like yeah, it wasn't really known as a good thing. It was known as like a sacred thing, known as
Yeah,
a like, hey, keep that away from the kids thing, which you should still keep it away from kids. But like,
absolutely, absolutely.
but I think there's a lot more education around it now, and I think there's a lot more use for it with intentional ways. Back in the day, I think it was just looked at as like a party drug. And that was kind of my experience as a kid of not really understanding what it was, but kind of knowing, okay, that's something that's for that, right?
Yeah. Do these experiences, this like how you perceived all these things, going back, from when we're similar age, we're only a year apart. So it's like when we look back into the early 2000s, the late 90s, as we get into high school and the teens, the 2010s, if you would, like cannabis was super different back then. What was it like for you guys in the celebrity family TV shows? I mean, even yourself, brother, like you've been on these shows. People have seen your face and probably now on the streaming reruns of some of these shows, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Mhm.
like what did you notice has really changed and over time between those 2 decades when we were young and the middle age and then now where we're at as adults? Obviously it's legal, but what do you personally notice
the
has really
conversation the conversation around it has dimmed a little bit.
mm,
You speaking to somebody that like you said was on TV and dealt with an arrest while on TV, a big arrest in New York. So like, yeah, man, at those times it was known as like, I was known as like a failure. I was known as like the fuck up of the
that's
family. I was known as
crazy.
like, and now it's just like, oh wow, look what JoJo's doing. He's speaking up, he's advocating for the same plant that they were saying I was a fuck up for. Now they're
Yeah.
so proud that I'm advocating and educating about it, right? And that's
Yeah, because
cool. I
now they
love
buy a
that's the
gummy to
fact.
go to sleep, so they've switched,
Oh
right?
yeah, I mean, I don't want to say the names and the older people that looked and frowned upon me as a kid, and now is asking me for how to get to sleep and what gummies should they use and what plant, what flowers should they smoke and what vape should they purchase. Like, I won't put you guys out there
But
to the
we
unsolicited.
know
Yeah,
about you guys.
yeah, but we know, right? Like, so, like, I love that it is that now, and I love that I have family members and friends that could feel like they can come to me because I'm educated on it, and I'm not going to steer you the wrong way. But yeah, man, the conversation around it is different. Like I said, the same people that were frowning upon me are now asking me, which way to go when it comes to cannabis.
So switching, like, I appreciate you sharing some perspectives on your experience with cannabis and taking us back a little bit into time and some of the unique perspectives between, you, the family, the
Mm-hmm.
shows, reality TV, all these different things, right? And also pretty cool to hear about all these different guests that you have. But my next question is about how all of those experiences combined with the cannabis experience times the reality TV, like how does that translate into the 3 is 4 and you leading this endeavor and what you're
It
taking
translates
on
a
there?
lot. I mean, me being reality TV, just being in the media space, being on TV, understanding my power in that space, understanding my connections and resources in that space. I also have a business partner in 3 is 4 that is, also from that space, grew up, father, everybody, from on TV, the producers at CBS. So, like, we have a lot of connections in that space. So me always wanting to be a creative, always understanding the creative. And when I used to be on set for Run Styles and even like growing up hip hop, I was always interested in like what the camera guys were doing, what the audio guy was doing, like
Yeah,
how it was
how
all
it
being
all
made,
came
right? Like
together.
how it all came together. And I think it's funny that I have a media company now and a production company that does that, and it's so fun because I remember those moments of saying, how do you do this? And how, I went to audio engineering school, and I also went to editing school for, in the summer when I was a kid. So like I know how to use Final Cut Pro and Avid Express and all these different things.
Yeah, you got you bilingual, trilingual when you know those kinds of things.
I know how to use Pro Tools too, right? So like I know how
Wow.
to do, I know how to mix, I know how to edit, I know how to master, I know how to color correct, all of that. I mean, we thank God we have employees and freelancers that do it for us over at 3 is 4. I don't have to
Yeah,
do
you
the
can't do
tedious
everything.
work.
Can't do everything
It's
in
it's
time.
it's a tedious job, but I do understand that world, and I've always been excited about media and content. So and entering into this space, especially at a larger scale, and doing it for big brands like Backwoods and other people, it's like, wow, we're able to create and see the finished product, and then the client loves what we do because at 3 is 4 we're very intentional about storytelling with the positivity and making sure that the consumer understands exactly why your brand is important for the culture and why your brand is important to the world, right? So that's what's been so fun about it, about the media thing. Now, when it comes to advocating for cannabis, it was a no-brainer. I felt like when I got arrested for it, I was, once again frowned upon. Everybody looked at me like I was crazy, da 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 da. And I didn't want to come into when I finally wanted to come into the cannabis space, and I didn't want to hide. I used to be in the club behind my friends and be like, "Hey, hide me real quick so I can smoke." Right? I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to be me. Cannabis is something I love. Cannabis is something I always loved. But I didn't also want to come out and look like an irresponsible person while I consumed the plant. I wanted to make sure that when I came out and consumed the plant, that I spoke about the right things that are happening in the plant, whether it would be what's happening in the different states or the people that are arrested and convicted for it, so I could speak up for them, or all these different stories and legacy operators and legacy growers, all of them deserve opportunity to be spoken about, because not only have some of them been arrested and locked up, and some of them aren't getting the recognition they deserve, because now a lot of these big brands came in and they just put in weed dispensaries everywhere, right? So
Yeah.
I just thought that it was just right for me to love a plant, and speak up for the same thing that I love.
What in terms of campaigns or content or just something creative recently that you guys have done with the 3 is 4? What is an example of a campaign that you felt really helped? You guys, like, they shined, you guys shined, everything went
Mm.
great. And what was the real like I said, what was the mission surrounding that campaign?
Man, I think this, everybody. It's hard to say, but everybody we work with, I haven't had any, any complaints from any clients. I always, we always get ranting and raving reviews from how we do things. Like, I could say that when we did our work with Last Prisoner Project, that was very rewarding, in knowing that we did such a beautiful piece, for them
Is it
for
a
the
video?
it
What
was
are
a
what?
video. We did it for last year's gala where we got to interview a lot of the guys that came home and they got to speak. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
almost like a
Okay.
documentary type of thing. But then you can also talk about our work that we've done at Rolling Loud with Backwards, where like we were able to also accomplish what they wanted, which was show their culture and how important they are to the culture
Yeah,
and the smoking community, right? And then we could talk about what we did with this, brand name Bomisi, where it's like a black initiative where they're pushing black creatives and people that filmmakers, and we were able
yes.
to not only come in as a strategist but put together that whole event for them, and they really enjoyed it, and the people that went really loved it. So like we do everything, we do anything from that scale to that scale, right? And it's all about being intentional. I haven't heard anybody complain yet, because
What do you
we
enjoy
make
the
sure we do.
most? Which type of project is it that JoJo really gets excited for, and your eyes are gonna light up, and you're gonna just be
All
creative and say
honestly, honestly, all of them. We don't really take on clients that we don't align with.
mm.
We always align with. We only work with who we align with. We have turned people down.
We're similar in that regard. I definitely have lowered the barrier to entry a little bit, but that's because in some cases I feel like our media company doesn't always have to be in the we're this cool or that cool lane. Sometimes I try to open the gate a little bit, and then I always regret it afterwards when it's like something super cheesy, of course. But for
Well,
the
what I always say is like, it's not that we don't want to work with everybody. It's the fact that like people have to understand. We just want to have we be respected and make sure that both visions are respected, and that
yeah, yeah, yeah,
everybody can work together. And sometimes some people are difficult. I'm not, and that's not a lot of people. That's never happened to us. We've always worked. Like, I don't think we've ever ran into a client we haven't aligned with. I don't think we've ever ran into a client that hasn't respected the time that we put into the piece that that they come for, or whatever that we're doing for them. So like, yeah, man, like it kind of just goes like that. We've aligned with
yeah.
everybody, and it's always aligned with the morals of positivity.
I love that. The positivity element and the alignment thing, that's how we maintain the authenticity. And if you're good at what you do and you've practiced it, that proper preparation prevents something poor, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
shout out the coaches and always that wisdom sticking around. Um, let's talk a little bit about storytelling. We're talking digital right now. Events are physical. There's this combination of human that has to, be merged between the two. How do you merge culture with digital in cannabis music and advocacy today?
I mean, how do you merge it? It's a good question. Good question. How do we merge culture and digital?
Is it just
We like
short form clips, bro? Is it
Yeah, I
just as
mean,
simple
we
as like
do it
make a
all.
long video
Like
and clip it up? And,
we like to say that we bring culture to content. So whether it's through short form clips or long documentary style, you're gonna get the culture, right? Now,
yeah,
if
yeah.
it's long form documentary style, the person that's consuming it may get a little bit more because it's longer and it's more information. But the person that likes
Mm-hmm.
to quick grab, quick click, quick clip stuff, we do that as well. Like we can do anywhere from 30 seconds to a half hour to an hour. Our podcast is an hour long sometimes. So like there's really no cap or no minimum on what type of content we do. It all depends on the situation.
I want to talk about one of the types of content you do, which is the For Good podcast, right? I think mental health, I think having the right guests curated, having the right conversation points, it allows us to take somebody through a journey, or it could be a quick journey or it could be a long journey, right, Jojo? It could be like, man, every question is just so thoughtful and
Yeah,
in
yeah,
depth.
yeah.
Or I could just do a 10-minute section with you where you're just rapid firing. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right, right, right,
Favorite
right,
football team, ready to go. Favorite basketball, ready to go. Favorite memory,
right,
favorite. Like, we could just do like the boyfriend girlfriend 2 a.m. texting questions, right?
right,
Yeah,
right.
but those are different styles of being engaged, right? And so for you guys with the For Good podcast, talk to me a little bit about some of your favorite moments on there. You've mentioned some of the guests that you had. Was there a moment with any of those guests that you were like, man, this one performed really well, or this one I absolutely
Uh,
loved what he said here?
all of them, but obviously my favorite. I wouldn't say my favorite, but I really enjoyed the conversation with my oldest sister, Vanessa
Mm,
Simmons. That one did really well, not only on numbers, but just on people just attaching to it really well, because they don't see us in the same room together a lot if it's not on reality TV. So I think just seeing us being people and humanized, and the vulnerability that she showed in that episode, and also just the vulnerability that everybody shows. I've had people tear up on the episodes, and that those are my favorite moments, when people feel like they can trust me to speak like that and be there in that space with me. Those are my favorite moments, like
yeah.
every time.
I hope I look forward to getting to that level with the guests. Right now, we have a lot of guests, which are people that I'm meeting for the first time, or
Yep.
not like you, where you've done probably a bunch of these, but a lot of guests that have, it's their first podcast. I find people all across the country that would never, ever be featured because no one's looking in this small town outside of New York or in this
Right.
area of New Jersey that no one even knows exists, right? Or whatever
Right.
it
Right.
is.
Right.
Montana, Illinois, Washington, Oregon. We do stuff all over the country, and it's cool to have those moments and to be able to get them to share those personal, painful moments.
Yeah.
It is powerful, and it's powerful because it can have impactful. You use this word. I think I want to say people can relate to it. They can
Yeah.
really relate to
Relatable.
the struggles and the pain that people have gone through. A lot of people have gone to jail for weed. A lot of people have
Yeah.
been in prison for something
Yeah.
that's legal today, right? JoJo, can you talk a little bit about the impact and the trauma, if you can, if you're willing to, of your cannabis, arrest of your situation, of like you are in the public light, you're on TV, you're on the show, you're part of
Mhm.
this family. Like, no disrespect, you're just not one of the regular nobodies in the regular world. You
Right.
know what I mean? And the
Yeah. I think.
pressure and the trauma of that.
Yeah, I think the pressure was bigger than the trauma. A lot of people expect me to be like, "Oh my God, it all happened," and I'm just like PTSD from. But no, like, um, the trauma and the pressure of letting my dad and the family down, of like being put in a certain light, especially like we talked about earlier, the
Yeah,
weed was so
it creates
demonized.
a wound,
It,
right? That's
it
what it kind
created
of
a
does.
wound, and it really hurt my father at the time. Of, he was trying to keep this really good image of the family out there, and I felt like I let him down. So I felt like that was the biggest pressure that I went through. Although way past that now, and all patched up and it's all good, but at the moment I feel like I just didn't see the bigger picture. But
Media probably made that whole
yeah,
situation worse, didn't it?
yeah, they definitely blew it out of proportion. But looking back, being a dumb young kid, getting weed from Washington Heights from somebody I knew, by the way. It was everybody made it seem like I got it from a random person, but it was from
He's buying
somebody.
drugs off the
Yeah, they
street
thought I was
from
just buying off the
strangers.
corner. Yeah, right. It was never that. But I still shouldn't have been in that situation. I still should not, shouldn't have me being as big as I was at the time. Shouldn't have been probably doing that on a block in Autobahn Avenue at that time in my famous BMW. Like, I probably shouldn't have been doing that, right? And I don't regret it because it made me who I am today and helped me
Yeah.
with the advocacy that I do. But yeah, in
Now
hindsight,
you're able to lead by, not to say by example, but lead differently because of that, right?
right,
By
definitely.
example is one version of leading, but now we're able to share the wisdom or share these stories. And and for people watching, it's not to say don't do those things 100%, but just realize time and place, recognize where
Yeah.
you're at. Some
Awareness.
awareness, self-awareness is huge. And
Right.
oftentimes if you have the wrong people around you, which we're going to talk about this, JoJo, I don't know enough about you to know if the wrong people were ever around you, but I know from my personal experience that more bad stuff happened to me or around me when I was around people, and that activity was happening frequently too as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, thank God that a lot of my guys that are good guys are still around till today. I mean
Good, good,
today.
good.
But yes, I'm not gonna say I was ever swayed by any bad crowd or had like horrible people around me, but I can definitely say I had people that had no plan in life around me, and that can also hinder what you're doing in life. If you see nobody else around you with a plan, then you basically have no plan either, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I definitely weeded those people out of my life years ago. But yeah, I agree. Having the wrong people around you is never a good thing. If you hang out in the barbershop long enough, you're gonna get a haircut.
I hope that's not a comment on my weird haircut that I did myself. You
No,
know what I'm
no,
saying?
it's
I'm just
a
kidding. I'm just
saying
kidding. I'm
that
just
my
kidding.
dad used to always tell me: if you, hang out with the wrong crowd long enough, you become the wrong crowd.
Now that's a great statement. Say the barber one again though. I like that.
If you hang out in the barbershop long enough, you're gonna get a haircut.
Man, that's a good one right there. I love that. And that does sound like something Pops would say too, just
Yeah.
from the fan side. Now, okay, pivoting back to Last Prisoner Project, you said something in this last little section about having awareness and motivation, right? Having the right people around you can keep you motivated. With your work in the Last Prisoner Project, is it a personal experience that keeps you motivated, like what you went through, or is it these other people's stories that keeps it like, oh yeah, man, I got to keep going. We got to
Uh,
keep
you
people.
A lot of people think it's my personal experience, and yeah, you know, that's what started the spark in me of, like, I always tell a story. I came out pretty easily because of the access and the resources that I had. Then I was able to get it wiped off my record for a few dollars that you know, I have a couple $1,000s, right? But like, um a lot of people don't have that money. A lot of people don't have those resources.
Yeah,
A lot of people don't
that
have
would
those
follow them all the way into the
a
apartment
long time, can't
projections
get
and
jobs, all
jobs.
type. Yep, right. And that's what made me say I got to speak up, because yeah, a person like me was able to get out of it so quickly, but not everybody was. And then hearing stories like Corvain's story, and hearing stories like all these other people that I've heard from with Last Prisoner Project, it really is like, wow, like, some people are in there for selling a huge amount of weed. Some people are in there for like a dub sack of weed, like
Yeah,
in
literally.
Louisiana, right? Like if you look in some of these other states, they're really crazy on cannabis.
Yeah,
And some people, like, you know, there's a guy named Kevin Allen that's in there for like a $10 bag of weed. You know what I mean? And he's serving life damn there. So it's like
yeah, because it
that.
could be
Those
like his second or third thing after
It's
some
his
other
third
stuff.
non-violent offense. It's never, you know, like non-violent offense, and this guy is serving life. I think they minimized it, but he's basically still serving life with the amount of years they gave him.
Yeah,
Um, like those stories are like what keep me going. Those stories are like, hey, if I can at least lend my voice, even if sometimes I can't lend anything else but my voice and my platform, I'm gonna do it. Um, because I'm out here freely, openly enjoying cannabis while people are in prison for it right now and aren't seeing another day.
literally, quite literally, man. It's um without naming any names, one of my best friends from Houston already had stuff on his record, made a poor decision when I was there, changed his trajectory, gets through that, wife, kids, starts smoking again, man. And the next thing you know, because he's spooked, he throws the weed out the window when he's just getting pulled over for some normal shit. Next thing you know, his whole life trajectory again gets fucked through that. Thankfully, Houston and Texas and Harris County decriminalized in a lot of
Wow.
capacities. But to imagine this, it's decriminalized, but because you threw it out of jail, you threw it out your window out of fear. Now you're tampering with evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So it just entirely derailed everything that he was working towards in that moment, like what you were
Yeah.
saying, created a whole wound and then derails for a period of time. Back together good now, but just another example. And that individual, very dark black individual in Houston, in Texas, 100%
Wow.
getting 100% just getting pulled over, probably just getting
Because
checked
of that. Yeah.
because of that. Not to say it is only because of that, but
But
probably
we
a fair
yeah.
chance. It's,
Yep.
you know, and I'll just never forget my heart sinking on that and the wound that it creates. And I use that word trauma, and what you said earlier, the pain in that moment is, and that stuff going on in the moment is worse than the long term of it. But
Hmm.
that's because of your situation and how unique it is. For
Yeah.
other people, their life could have been ruined for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Like the gentleman you're talking about. He's old
Yep.
enough now, he's done. And that's
Yeah.
sad. That's
Hmm.
sad. And we should be doing something. And I appreciate you speaking up for those people.
Of
Um,
course.
you're also part of 1% for the planet. Sustainability, something you don't hear a lot about in, at least in my world, and like in my view of black culture and hip hop and rap, like what I view, I don't hear the word sustainability talked about enough compared to other communities, right? Why
Yeah.
is it so important to you? What are you working on in that area?
That's fun because, you know, me neither. Well, you know, with 3 is 4, I'm blessed to have, you know, some co-founding partners and some employees that brought 1% to the planet, for the planet, to my attention, and was like, yo, we want to get down with this. You know, they kind of told me everything about sustainability and all the things 1% was doing for the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And I was totally down, because you can't say you're pushing positivity and you love everybody around you, and you don't love the planet, and you don't love sustainability and trying to sustain the planet and sustain the world, right? Sustainability just means keeping everything right, right? So like, it's a lot of reasons why we joined, but ultimately it's been a great experience with them. Been able to go to some of their summits, and they're great people. And a lot of great brands and companies are with 1% for the planet, because they understand that it's important. Like just even cleaning our waters up, and recycling and things like that. It's all very important.
If we are in a position where we have enough or excess, or we're privileged to have surplus, right? Like large surplus, why wouldn't we want to help other people? Why wouldn't we want to
Right.
bring people up?
Right.
It's one thing to sit here and watch a documentary about the water in Flint and to feel bad and think like, damn, that documentary was published in like 2021. Is it still like that? And like, yes, it is still like that. And
Yeah, exactly.
some people, kids, black, white, brown, immigrants, people here, however they are here, we're just trying to drink some water, man. We need water to survive. We need clean air to breathe. Otherwise, we can get cancer from the things we breathe, folks.
Yeah, a lot of the time, sometimes you don't see what you're breathing. You don't see what you're breathing, and
Absolutely.
a lot of
Actually,
that stuff
I
matters.
don't see anything that I'm breathing
Yeah, you
unless
don't
it's
see
the
anything.
pollen.
Yeah, you're right. You don't see anything you're breathing. So you never know, and that's why sustainability and all those things are important. Like
Yeah.
so a lot of it's important, and a lot of us aren't educated on it, and that's a huge problem in our culture.
One of the things that is also not talked about often enough in any culture, no matter what you identify as or what you look like or where you live, is fitness, man. People make it seem
Yeah.
like fitness is only sports, JoJo. Fitness is not just
No.
sports, right?
No.
There's mental health, there's physical health, there's
Hmm.
different types of fitness. Can you tell me a little bit about your passion for fitness and how that all correlates and ties in with the 3-4 and everything? The 3 is 4 and what you guys are
I
doing.
mean, well, fitness really is a personal thing for me. I've been working out about 5 years now, and it's done a lot for me physically, but also a lot for me mentally. I feel like every
Mm.
morning I wake up and I work out, and it makes me feel very accomplished, very empowered. Makes me feel like if I can accomplish this, then I can accomplish anything. And I also think that um, just trying to maintain a healthy body and be self-aware, like we spoke about, and knowing that all these things matter for the long run is why I kind of got into fitness. But I also just I love it. I just love going to work out. It feels like it's a place for me to get away. Sometimes it's a place for me to think, and it's really done wonders for me mentally.
Where do you have your best ideas, JoJo? Where are you solving problems? Are you a shower guy? You a gym
I was
guy?
gonna
You
say in the
a
shower,
car?
in the shower and in the car.
Yep.
Those are my two places. In the shower for sure. And in the car on those long trips to the city, or hour trips, or even
Yeah.
20-minute trips. Like I used to be an artist, so I used to like write a lot sometimes in the car. So like now that's turned into like my brainstorming sessions
Yeah, like
in the
20
car and
minutes
in the
for this
shower.
on the bus or an hour drive. Now, like, it was
Yeah.
like, how can we be productive, right?
Yeah, I have ADHD, so like I'm always calling, my business partners, or like, people we work with, and like always have ideas, always ready to kind of get things going. So yeah, man, in the car. If I'm doing that in the car, I'm usually brainstorming, calling somebody, or if I'm in the shower, I'm in there longer than expected because I'm just thinking.
We're touching on a bunch of different stuff, man. This is great. This isn't not the usual cannabis interview for me of where's your dispensary and what's your brand or what's the event going on, man. It's cool being able to hear what helps you kind of tick and succeed and grind, and also like what kind of inspired some of these things. I have here on the notes as well, fatherhood,
Yeah, yeah, father of two.
family man.
Yeah,
Um,
husband as well.
I would imagine that fitness and mental health and business. I mean, we need money to survive, right? We do need
Yep.
money to survive in America. So there's all these things that go in that have to play together. Um, what do you feel helps you continue on that path towards being a good father, good person, just present in all these areas in a self-aware kind of manner?
Um, I don't know, it's just first nature to me. Everything I do is for my kids and my wife. I feel like having a family is really motivating me to do everything I'm doing. It really pushes me hard, and I think that that's what I live for. I guess maybe my dad grew up, me and my siblings grew up so close, and always, telling me the importance of family, and just me having my own little family now is super important to me. So like just just knowing that I'm the provider and that I'm the superhero in the household is more than enough for me to keep going every day, and to keep setting examples. Because what I always tell people is, when you're the dad and the husband and the man of the house, the example you set is what they follow. So the food you put in the household is the food they're gonna eat. The knowledge you put in the household is what they're gonna learn. Everything you learn is what they learn. Everything you teach them is how they're gonna present. So I always say, as the man of the house, always make sure you're setting not only good examples, but you're intentional with what you're doing with your family and for your family, whether it's your kids or your wife. I always say it all the time. Like, I could put a whole bunch of junk food in my house, and we'll all be eating junk food every day and all day. Or I could put a bunch of fruits and vegetables in the house, and I guarantee you we'll all be eating fruits and vegetables. And that's kind of how I look at it.
No, I love that. Good in, they say in cannabis, right? Good in, good out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They say good in, good out. And so those are all good things to have in your life. And there will be good things coming out of those efforts
Yep.
in the form of relationships, family, hopefully prosperity. In
Yep.
your case, family and business probably intertwined to some point in terms of time and work life balance. Um, you know, having two children, what would you say? How do you balance the children, the business, the wife, and all that successfully? That's first part. And second part is, what's the vision for 3 is 4 and the For Good podcast with all of this, going on over time?
We can start with the vision. The vision for 3 is 4, in the For Good podcast. Well, obviously, we want the For Good podcast to be the biggest podcast, but not only that, everybody's going to say that, right? We are different because we promote positivity and we only speak about the positive things in life, and we really have those real conversations with whoever, about their mental health, about their
Mm.
personal growth, about their inspirable
It's
stories,
good
about
content
their
in, good positive content
about
in.
their failures, right? We like talking about failures because we're very big on failing publicly, because that's important for people to see you fail publicly so they can see you win publicly, right? That they see the story, right? So we love talking about stuff like that. So the For Good podcast, I just wanted to be the go-to space, for those that just want to feel good that day. And it's like, you know what? I just want to binge watch this because all it is positivity, and all it is inspirable content, and all it is something that I
Relatable.
want to see, the relatable content, right? And then how do I balance? Oh, and what do I see for 3 is 4? Yeah, is the same thing, like the go-to creative studio for all things
Mm.
creative and content and culture. The people that you come to, that you really, when you really need storytelling, or you really need that content to really hit home for your consumer, where the people you come to, or you really need a creative strategy, or you really need a creative event, or anything that you can tie into, hey, I really need to get across to the people what my company and my brand is. I want you to know that we're the trusted source to come to make sure that that happens for you, right? And
Come
how do
on,
I
man.
balance? How do I balance being a husband and a dad? First of all, first things first is family is always first, and I'm blessed, to be in opportunities that I'm in, to have to be a co-founder of 2 different companies, a music company and 3 is 4, obviously. So like, I'm able to be home more than the others. Yes, a lot of phone calls. Sometimes there's a lot of in-person meetings. Yes, I do the podcast. So yes, I'm maybe virtually doing it in this room, or I'm going to New York City, or I'm flying out to different states to do in person. So yeah, a lot of it does get busy, but I make sure that I make time, for the people that are important, which are my kids and my wife, right?
Gotta make
I'm
time.
there. I'm there dropping off my daughter on first days of school. Unless I truly can't make that happen, I'm there for mainly everything, whenever I can be. So prioritizing the family time is super important for me, and my wife definitely damn sure won't let me forget that either. So yeah, blessed to be able to do that, because some people don't have that much time
Yeah.
throughout the day. And I'm not saying I have all the time in the world, but I'm saying that I make
But
my
you got to
time
make the
valuable.
time. It takes that effort, that intentionality, and
I
you
make
have the
my time
support.
work.
Yep.
Like I
You got
posted
to
the
make
other
that.
day, like, time is unrefundable, so use it intentionally.
Time is unrefundable, folks. So use it intentionally. 3 is 4, the For Good podcast. Make sure y'all tap in, man. We got JoJo
Thank you.
Simmons in the house. One of the
Appreciate that.
dopest, most inspiring guests we've had on the RMR Podcast Network. We've had
Thank you.
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of guests, folks. And this is hip hop, cannabis, mental health, motivation, and just shit that is for good. Man, that's what this is. It's good for you and it's for good. This is that positive shit. JoJo, I appreciate you being here. Before we get you out of here, I'll let you get anything else you have off your chest for the people. Any last messages, not final words. Keep it positive, keep it for good over here. But the final words for today's episode.
Hey, yeah, for sure. Come follow me at JoJo_Simmons on Instagram, or follow the podcast at For Good Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, and or anywhere you stream podcasts. And I'm here to stay, to keep pushing positivity and keep advocating for the things I love. Thank you for having me on Respect My Region, my brother.
I appreciate you, my man. It's been a pleasure. Everybody, thank you again for watching another episode
Thank
of
you.
the RMR Podcast on the RMR